Mr. Ranjandhar, Mr. Rajesh Gupta, Mr. Sumit sir, Ms. Bhanu Kumar, and obviously smiling Monica Bachchan. I give more emphasis on Bachchan because whenever we get calls from Monica Bachchan, I become a star. The question is, the only two Bachchans we know in our family, one is Amitabh Bachchan, the next is Monica Bachchan. Thank you, Monica. Metallogic has done wonderful in terms of organizing these conferences. This is a very, very powerful conference and needs probably a week to deliberate. But nevertheless, whatever we can lay our hands on is better than something is better than nothing. The message that the kids sent across to us, the video that was just played, is not a fiction, it's a reality. And why I say so is, yes, the world is changing at a very fast pace. There is a lot of non-linear shift that is happening in the global economy. And over the next 15 minutes, I'd like to convey a very, very simple message. And that message is, future is now. Future is not 20 years down the line. The topic that we have today, stronger together, steel, mines and logistics. A very, very apt topic. When I got to see the topic, I actually wondered that there has been a lot of wisdom behind this topic. These industries have been at the forefront of being at the receiving end as far as GHG's greenhouse emission gases is concerned, carbon footprint is concerned, X, Y, and Z. But I can assure you, this is where the future lies. This is the gold of the future. Before we move on, let me tell you how I look at the meaning of stronger and together. Stronger together, are we saying stronger together for the past? Are we saying stronger together for the present? Or are we saying stronger together for the future? Of course, stronger together for the future. Having looked at pretty much many Fortune 50 companies and looked at their strategic paper for growth, one has observed there are three boxes in life. Box one is managing the present. Managing the present means everything that you do today to manage the present. The money that you make today from the business to manage the present. The second is selectively forgetting the past. And the third is managing the future. If I would throw a question at you and ask you, how many projects are you running to take you to where you want to be in 2050? What would be the answer? The future comes one day at a time. 2050 will come one day. And if you're not planning something today, every day, to take you to where you need to be in 2050, it'll be a great lost opportunity. And this is what I call a nonlinear shift. The first nonlinear shift that came in my generation was 25 years back. And that was the advent of WWW, the World Wide Web. Internet came into our lives in late 90s. Pretty much before that, everybody was on the same point. But that changed everything. The globe, the planet, has 7 billion population. Of those 7 billion population, we have 2 billion, the developed world. And we have 5 billion that is developing and the underdeveloped world. The leadership of tomorrow is converting those non-consumers into consumers, and that is what non-linear shift is all about. The execution methodology, the fundamental leadership options of box 3 and 2 are different than what they were for box 1. So make no mistakes. Here I start with one of our examples of nonlinear shift. It's a practical story, and we'll keep on coming to examples of how steel, mining, and logistics can join hands to be the future leaders as far as India is concerned. We stand at the cusp of one of the largest opportunities mankind has ever presented. And here it goes. Bangladesh is a country that is often tormented by famines, floods, and natural disasters. It was in 1982 that one such disaster happened, and there was a lot of famine. There was a professor of economics. His name was Dr. Muhammad Yunus. And he said, he was very moved. 166 villagers from his village came to him and said, if we don't get some money, we will die, we will perish. He said, oh my God, what should I do for you? He got those 166 villages together and took them to the nearest commercial bank and said, to the banker, look, you are in the business of lending, aren't you? I've done a great service to you. You don't have to go to the consumers. I've got you 166 consumers right at your doorstep. Do you mind giving them $25 a piece? They need to survive. The banker usually went ahead, did the risk analysis and said, oh, these guys are too risky to get a loan. Sorry, we can't give them loan. Dr. Yunus was very surprised. He said, why wouldn't you give them loan? How does it work? They said, no, these are non-consumers. They're not the people who usually give loans. That struck him. That this is a daunting, great business model. How do I get non-consumers of business into consumers of business? So what I did, and this is a true story, he goes and studies banking with a commercial bank. And he understands how commercial banks works. And that is how, in 1983, he launches Grameen Bank. And he says, and he vows to himself, he promises to himself, he says, I'll do not the best practice, but the next practice. Next practice is what upsets the current business models. The commercial bank is in the urban areas, Grameen Bank will be in the rural areas. The commercial bank sells and loans only to men, Grameen Bank will loan only to women. The commercial bank, you have to go to a commercial bank, in case of Grameen Bank, we'll go to the consumer in a village. And because we will have nothing to do with non-repayment before the business model, so we don't need any risk mitigation officers or legal officers. He gave those 166 villagers $15 each. And two things happened. He got his money back with 10% interest. He was convinced of his business model. Since 1983, Grameen Bank has been operating in 225 cities around the world. They've, including United States of America. They have dispersed more than $200 billion loans in $15 increments. That's a whole lot of loans. They were even profitable during the Lehman crisis of 2008. I asked Dr. Yunus, what after that? This is a nonlinear shift. He said, yeah, I did a small project. This is the most profitable project for Grameen Bank. And what was that? He said, I went to the center of Dhaka and I caught 10 beggars. I said, look, you go and beg. This is not good. And beggars are probably the lowest of the lowest in the pyramid of the economic train. I took 10 beggars and I told them, look, you go to houses and you beg. Here is $15 each. Go to houses, buy some bread, buy some milk, buy some groceries, buy some flowers, buy some toys, and see and try to sell them. And if you can sell them, you come back to me, pay me my interest, I'll give you $25. He wanted to keep them into the system. He said, Subh, I thought from 10 beggars in 6 months, I'll go to 500 beggars. Anybody wants to take a guess how many beggars he enrolled in 6 months? Any guesses? 500,000 beggars in 6 months. It became the most profitable model for Grameen Bank. Out of $500,000, 250,000 beggars, 250,000 permanently became salespeople. They said, look, we are going up the value chain, the social economic value chain. We don't want to beg anymore. We get money, we pay for interest, we like to live a good life. Of the balance 250,000, 50,000 said, well, we like to stick to our core competence, which is begging. The selling is not my game. And the balance 200,000 said, well, we like to do both. Because some houses are good for begging and some houses are good for selling. I asked him, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, why would you do such things? Why would you go out of your way and risk your life and take on these business models? He said, because I have a dream. And I want all of you to have the same dream by the end of the day. He said, I have a dream to make a museum of poverty. So that when a kid is born and he asks what poverty is, we can take him to a museum and say, look, this was poverty. You have a dream too. You're standing on that dream. Dr. Muhammad Yunus, after 25 years, got a Nobel Prize for his work in 2006. We are in 2024. We have 25 years left. To what? To 2050. Why is 2050 such an important mark? It's Amrit Kal for India. And because you've signed on the dotted line. You've promised to the world, as the largest democracy, you will be net neutral by 2050. You have signed on the dotted line. Not that you're going to sign. And you cannot renegade from your promises because as a country, as a democracy, we keep our promises. We are very proud of our culture and our heritage. Now, once you've signed on the dotted line, what does that mean? It means there's a huge upset coming your way. We have roughly 1.4 billion cars today, of which 1% is EV, 99% are ICE. In India, that number is even lower. So are you trying to tell me in the next 25 years, you're going to change all ICE to EVs? Have you any idea what kind of mining capabilities that would require? The great mining companies venture out. The sea is the limit. The sky is the limit. You can go anywhere. You will have to create humongous opportunities. They stand on your way. Capital is not a problem. Capital flows. There used to be 3 climate change venture funds pre-pandemic. Today there are 120, probably 3 growing by the week. Tiger and Kahoot committed not less than probably billions of dollars to this purpose. And why do I say this? Till about mid-90s, capital did not own an institution. Today, capital owns an institution. It's called World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is not an institution politically governed by any country or continent. It is governed by capital. And we are signatories to World Trade Organization. And I was lucky to have a rinlcitu, one of those battles where we were about to sign the making of World Trade Organization in Seattle. What did we sign on? We created somebody who can be a watchdog on how capital flows. As capital flows in different geographies, capital needs to protect the assets that capital acquires in different geographies, and that is what WTO does. Imagine a situation, 2051, when World Trade Organization, to which you are a signatory, to which you have given your sovereign rights as a referee, becomes a climate watchdog. And if WTO becomes a climate watchdog, and it says, you cannot keep on pumping carbon day in, day out. You have rights to grow, but you don't have rights to pump carbon. So there will be a carbon tax. What would you do? Would you take WTO to a court? The question is very simple. We have to move from a resource-based economy to a technology-based economy. Is it difficult? It's difficult. I think so. The first nonlinear shift happened in internet, and what did we create? We created behemoths like Apple. Apple's market capitalization is $3 trillion. That's equal to the economy of India. $3 trillion. Apple employs 100,000 people. And guess what? Apple's absolute workhorse product, the iPhone, was launched when? Any idea? Any number? iPhone was launched in 2007, 2008. iPhone wasn't launched in 1947. It's barely 15 years. Apple went from making Macintosh computers to becoming one of the largest capitalized brands on the planet. These changes will come. Why am I saying this is? India has 126 million tons of capacity, crude steel. Like Secretary Steele said, we need to be cognizant of the fact that we need to invest. We need to look at alternate technologies so that we can get that competitive edge which everybody does not have. Today, everybody's on starting track. Be it Japan, be it US, be it Canada, be it Germany, be it India. Everybody's looking at alternate ways to make greener steel. Obviously, people can say, are there solutions? Yes, we worked hard on green hydrogen. There is a solution. I drive a Toyota Mirai in California. It's a car which we've been driving for the last 5 years. Toyota Mirai runs on hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells have been manufactured on this planet for the last 50 years, 50 years. There are abundance of hydrogen fuel cells available. The technology is pretty simple. Hydrogen takes away the perils of grid balancing as happens in electricity. In electricity, you have to balance demand and supply. If you don't balance demand and supply, the cost of storing buffer electricity is humongous, which is why we fail at times on innovation. Coking coal is used in China to produce solar panels because they need to be heated to 1200 degrees centigrade. No wonder coking coal prices always go up. They will not come down. The cost of making brown steel will keep going up. Isn't this time to actually invest in green steel? I'll give you another data because from where we come, either it's data or it's simple opinion. Swedish steel company, Svenska Stål AB, Sweden, SSAB in short, tied up with a mining company, LKAB, Sweden, and an energy producer, Vattenfall. To produce what? To commit to a technology called hybrid. Hybrid was producing green steel using hydrogen. They set up in 2020 a pilot plant. in Lindwall, Sweden, and subsequently they've put a demo plant in Grenvall, Sweden, and I urge most of you to travel to the demo plant and look at it. Today, Subh makes 55,000 tons of green steel. They're booked for the next 10 years at an EBITDA, I'm told, of 60% plus. Is it too difficult for us? We have the capability. The question is, as industrial output reduces in China, as there is capacity constraints in China, India is the only country the world will look upon for generating more rare earth minerals, producing more batteries. I'm not saying lithium ion. There are technology like sulfur ions, sodium ions, tons of technology. Toyota Mirai has a 5.5 kg hydrogen tank. So you go and refill hydrogen, you refill 5 kgs. You don't do empty tank refilling. Simply, you go and refill. The cost of hydrogen in California is $7.50 a kg. 5 kgs cost converted to rupees at rupee to 80 is 3,000 bucks. On a 5 kg refill, a Mirai gives you 502 kilometers, that's 6 rupees per kilometer. Compare that to 110 rupees gasoline in India and 11 kilometers to a liter. Is hydrogen cheaper or not? Stronger together we shall be. We'll have to work on meaningful investments. Capital is not an issue, capital will flow. There are institutions that support capital flow. And if together we can understand that future is now, and we have to create a great future, and from 120 million tons we should go to 400 million tons, but it should be green steel. I'm sure that in Amrit Kal, we will be the leaders in the world. With that, and with a dream of creating someday a museum where a kid can be taken and shown what global warming is, I leave you with some great sessions coming up. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.